Hello, in this section 4.4, we're going to talk about SQL. SQL is a really important tool for many companies to use to sort their data. If you think about in the past practices that we have done in this course, all of the data was actually saved in the CSV format. But as a company, it's very hard to save all the data in CSV because of the limitations that you get from CSV. Therefore, companies typically will save their data into a SQL server. Right? As a data scientist, you will go to the SQL server. Typically, it's already set up for you. Then you log in. Then you get, write some SQL queries and get the data that you need for your analysis. And then save that into a CSV. Then you can do your statistical analysis, then create a model using sklearn, NumPy. So SQL is considered as relational DB. That means the structure of the tables and structure of the database is already preset, predefined. So think of table as one CSV or as one spreadsheet, right? That you have columns and rows, and then that structure, right, is already preset for you. So when you get new data, say every day you get some new data, you want to save it to this existing table, you have to follow the rules, you have to follow the data type, you have to follow the table structure, right? So that's why it's called structured data. And then the relational part is really just about how you can link, right, the tables, two tables by this some sort of keys. So primary key, think of as primary key as index, is pretty much the index for a table, right? And then if you have the common ID or common key in two tables, you can use this field to join, right? To connect the two tables and then grab the things that you need from both tables. So if you're really familiar with like Excel's VLOOKUP, then you can think of that as almost like VLOOKUP, right? Or Pandas, merge, right? pd.merge, right? So it's pretty much a similar thing. So let's get started, right? Go ahead and use this link and download SQLite Studio. So this is a GUI. We're going to be using this in this section. I mean, SQL can be anything, right? It has many types of SQLs. We have, we can use PostgreSQL, right? Postgre or SQLite. In this section, we're just going to use SQLite, but they're actually very, very similar. So if you know one, then the rest will be, very, very easy for you. So let's, just focus on SQLite using this GUI for now, which is like user interface. So once you download this, right, through that link, then you'll see something like this. So so as a data scientist, typically you wouldn't ask to set up this, right? So it's already a server that's been set up for other, by data engineers and other teams. So you just need to go in and log into the database. So typically what you see, right, on the left-hand side, you see like, all these like databases, right? You have like test and test 0 and test 2, right? So each is actually a database. And then if you just expand this database, you can actually see the tables. That means, CSV, right? A DF, think of as data frame or CSV. And in here, you can actually see two things, right? Two tables. One is called physician. The other is called, say, procedure, right? So you have two tables in this database called test, right? I will save this so that you can play with that later. And then, but I mean, the setup is pretty easy if you want to. If you have the CSV, you can just go in here, database, and then create add a database and then just follow it through. And also under tools, you can export it or import it from a CSV, right? If you have a CSV, you can just import it through this link. But typically it's not required for you. You're not required to do this step, right? So say it's already set up for you and then you just want to write some SQL queries, right? So the first thing we want to do is let's look at this table, right? So this physician table have two columns. You just keep expanding this. You have the ID, you have the specialty. And then quick thing you can do, right, you can actually look at some of the previews, right? I mean, there are many, many things you can do, but you can look at the previews, by doing like this, right? Select star from physicians, right? So SQL, remember, it's you have to follow the rules, right? So by using this is like select statement, you have to always select the columns that you want to display, and from this is the table that you need to specify. So what if we just run this whole thing, right? And then here's the button. You can see ID specialty, right? You can see, okay, so physician ID 0, it's a general surgery. 1 is unknown, 2 is a say family practice. So this is like telling you for this ID, for this physician ID, what's the domain, right? What's the specialty for this particular physician? So you have a list, right, with 2 columns. Think of this as like, yeah, a DF for CSP, right? So then, say the other one, right, is a procedure. You can expand it. It has 4 columns. You have like physician ID, procedure code, procedure, number of patients. You're like, yeah, it's interesting. Let's look at it, right? The same way we're selecting. So this start means everything. I want to select everything from this table. You can look at it. Okay, so physician 0. ID 0 is like you have many few rows because the same physician can have many procedures, right? It has procedure code and procedure, like this is like the description of procedure, and then the number of patients, right? So that makes sense, right? You can have, look at this one, right? So, okay, great. So now we know the structure of the data, right? The database and then the tables, right? We have 2 tables. We can do a quick thing, right? So let's say what if I want to see from, remember, the physician table is to give you the ID and then also the specialty, right? So I can do something like, I want to look at the specialty, right? And then the count of physicians or ID, right? So, and then from here, from my table, and then I want to group it by specialty, right? So you can actually do it this way. So you highlight it, right? You can have many queries in here, highlight it, and then just click on run. Okay, so now I can actually see, this is just a count, right? So I'm saying, okay, addiction medicine, I have 8 physicians, and then allergy, right? I have like all these things, right? So, and I can actually name this because it says count ID, I don't want that. So I'll just maybe call this as a count physician count, right? Right, so, and then what if I want to order this, right? Order by 2, right? Order by 2, that means the second column, and then I want to say descending, right? I want to see the top ones, right? So this will tell me, okay, so unknown is actually the most, as the highest count, and cardiology second, internal medicine, right? So this is great, right? And then I can actually only look at, say, top 10 of these, right? I don't need to look at everything. Oh, there's, okay. So top 10 is not, you can't use top 10. You might have to do limit 10. So this is just like something that you need to, so this, because we're using SQLite, so you have to use limit 10 as opposed to top 10. That's the difference between, different SQLs, but almost the same. So, okay, so now we're just looking at top 10, right? You can actually see this, the top 10 specialty with the physician count. That's great. Okay, now let's say I want to join the 2, right? Because remember, physician has the specialty, but procedure doesn't have the specialty, but both have the ID, right? So how you can join 2 tables is like, okay, I can do select star, selecting everything from all 2 tables, and then I will specify the first one, which is like physician, right? That's our table. I call it A, right? So this is alias, right? And then join procedure, which is B, on A.ID. Remember, this is the ID, physician ID that's coming from physician, is equal to B.physician ID. So this is to tell you I want to use physician ID from B, ID from A to join these 2 tables, right? So this is the inner join. That means a record, like ID has to exist in both tables, and I will display it, right? So if you look at this, right? Okay, so this will tell you, okay, so ID, specialty, right? So physician ID, all that, right? So great, so it worked, right? So from here, what we can do is, okay, what if I want to just say, I want to do the same thing, right, in here, but I want to count, right? Based on the specialty, I want to count the number of procedure code, right? So I want to count that code. So for every specialty, how many, right, distinct, I should do distinct, right? Because distinct, that means like you don't want to count the duplicated ones, right? Twice, the same code twice, right? So then if I do this, right, and then I need to do the group by. Whenever you have the count or the sum or any aggregation here, in your select statement, you have to group it by, right? Have to have the group by, right? So if I have in here, so then let's look at this. Okay, then this will tell me, right? Cardiology has like the highest 154 distinct procedure codes. That's interesting, right? And then plus plastic reconstruction surgery is like 10. Okay, that's great. So I mean, this is kind of like how you can join the two tables and do like some sort of aggregations, right? So what if I want to say, I don't want to do like just inner join, right? This is join, when you do join, that's the same as inner join, but I want to do left join, or you know what, let's do right join. That means I want to grab all the records that exist in procedure in my right table, but if there's any missing ones, right, in the physician table, the left table, I still want to display it. So right join, right, is just telling me that I want to grab all the records from my right table, and then left join is to say I want to grab all the records regardless of the matching, right, from the left table. So that's, you know, that's pretty much it. So right join, okay, so it's called right outer join. It's another like SQL, full outer join, right? Okay, I should do full outer join. Okay, so while executing is the test urgent are not currently supported. Okay, so I mean, it could be the SQL thing, but you know, this version of it. So, but you just have to know that there are many types of joins. Okay, I mean, that's pretty much it. And once you get to, you know, some, you know, like this, right? You can actually, say if I don't want to do the count, I can do this, you know, basic stats in here, but I want to say save this result that I get, right, from here, and then I can save this as a CSV, I can export it, right? I can then, you can just like copy and paste, right? Copy and paste the CSV, and then you can do the analysis. You can do the analysis on your, you know, on your notebook, right? And then fit a model. So that's it. Thank you.